Welcome everyone to Woman podcast. I'm your host, Denise Hinkson Lawrence, and I'm excited that you have decided to come along this journey with us towards wellness. Well, as you know, this is a space that's created to empower, inspire, and to uplift and transform lives. So let's get into our conversation today. We'll be right back after this break. Well, hello again, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you are a regular listening audience, thank you for all your support, sharing, and downloading. And I'm your host, Denise Hinkson Lawrence, and this is Women, the number two Women podcast. Today, we have a guest that you have requested, and you've requested so by writing in, you've requested so by downloading. This is one of the most downloaded guest appearances as ever on our Woman to Woman podcast. And that's, of course, supposedly your favorite right now. And that's Marquita Ashley. Marquita, why don't you just say hello to the people?
Hello, good people. Hello, women. Hello, men. If they're listening, hello.
Marquita, it's a pleasure to have you back on. In the intro, I said it, and it's for real. I've shared it with you as well, where I look at the downloads, and my gosh, I'm like, what is it? Is it her voice? Is it the topic? Is it her authenticity? Whatever it is, but it's what the people want. So we're gonna give them what they want. All right. So Marquita, we as we begin this month of February, so much emphasis is placed on this love and all these things, and I think before we can even love someone, we have to love ourselves, and that's just my personal take on that. And we have to know that we are loved, right? Because sometimes we struggle with loving ourselves because we don't know that we're loved, we don't know the value of who we are. And from a faith-based perspective, we're fearfully and wonderfully made and created by God. But even though we read that and we hear it and we say it, sometimes we say it, but we don't mean it. But I think sometimes we need to look at the fact that we have some kind of a war within. We have the inner critic, we have that voice that speaks louder than anything else. And we have this toxic relationship with ourselves. And so I wanted to talk to you today in the space to really talk about that. What does it look like when someone has a toxic relationship with themselves?
Well, before I answer your question, I just want to say sometimes we've got to learn to look at ourselves and say, hello, self. It's time for you to check, check. I'm not listening to that today. Um,
Mm,
we gotta learn how to um, appreciate every aspect of us. But within accepting every aspect of ourselves, we have to learn that when it's time to get checked, it's time to get checked. And no better person to check you than you. I do agree with your statement where before you have to before you can love someone else, you've got to learn to love yourself. um, Too many times we talk about how much we love, but do we really know what love is?
right.
It's funny because we had a service today, and the topic was coming from Romans chapter 12, 9 through 21. But um, in that passage of scripture, it talked about love
Mm-hmm.
and love being genuine. Do you genuinely love yourself enough to um, serve? Do you genuinely love yourself to bypass the critics, including yourself? Um, you've got to know what love is before you can love yourself and love someone else. There's different types of love. There is brotherly love. There is eros love. There is agape love, which Jesus Christ is, because he loves us unconditionally. But it's it's very hard sometimes to love yourself
Yeah, I think
because
so. Yeah.
because you know you.
Right, right, right. You know yourself. So like you're saying in the beginning, you said, okay, sometimes we have to check ourselves and be like, shh, shh, okay, right? But while
Right.
we're doing that, sometimes we can be hard on ourselves.
Sometimes it's necessary because we've got to get over something, or we've got to or we've got to fix something, right? We've got to evaluate some things. But that evaluation or that check doesn't need to be detrimental. You understand? It doesn't need to be so hard, so critical, that we forget that, hey, we have feelings, or hey, God loves us regardless and in spite of, and someone else can too. And I'm going to love myself enough to know that, hey, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm a work in progress.
Mm, I like that right there. Work in progress. I think if we, while we're checking ourselves and being honest with ourselves, and sometimes, yes, we have to, in being honest with ourselves, we have to be so, it appears to be hard, right? But we're actually just really facing it on. But I like
Right.
what you said, working progress, right? That means we're not finished yet,
Nope.
right? And there's some things that happen that, okay, they may have happened, but we go erase it out a little bit, or maybe we don't erase everything. We're gonna learn from that in order to become better. So the work in progress is building, it's building up, it's putting these little pieces together, see if it fit into that puzzle. If that piece doesn't fit, then okay, we tried the other piece, right? So it's that work in progress. And I think that's such good that you said that, because we need to remind ourselves that we are a work in progress. I mean, we're not the complete thing yet. We still have,
There
a
you
bit
go.
to
There you
go.
go. There you go, right there. I've learned in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I think I've heard it before, but in the last couple of weeks, I've heard, um, when you think you have arrived,
Mhm.
I think it's at that time you need to go back to the beginning, because no one has arrived.
Better
We
believe
are all still a work in progress.
it. Whew. Yeah, listen, this work over here has been working to the point like, whoa, do we need to retire? But if we retire, we're not going to retire with any, anything to continue the life,
No,
because
no,
the work
no
is
act.
done.
Look at no accolades, no accomplishments, no
None.
nothing. And here's the thing: when you retire early, right? There's nothing to leave
Come on.
Kayla and Junior to go on with, to work with, to better themselves with, so that they can help the grandchildren, and on and
Yeah.
on and on, right?
Right. It's about leaving that legacy. So your work isn't done yet. So just have to allow yourself to go through that process. So then, okay, while you're going through the process, we we of course it requires patience, right? And resilience and endurance. But in order to get there, sometimes we want to take that shortcut. We want to take that shortcut, right? So we want to
Go
retire
ahead.
early.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Take the shortcut, please. Go
But
ahead and take the shortcut.
what I realized and what I experienced myself is that when you take that shortcut, it could draw some real blood. Oh yeah. So you might as well just stay in the
Wait,
race,
no, wait.
stay in the lane.
Draw blood, and you literally have to go right back to the beginning, because now you got,
Ah,
look, now you got to find out. Now you got to find out where you got cut from,
come on, come
right?
on.
In order to say, okay, well, I'm a tiptoe over this area, or I'm a take a different angle at this area, because this thorn is sticking out 2 inches, and if I step
Ooh,
into two, I'm gonna get drunk again,
yes. Oh, I just felt that one.
right?
I
So
felt
so so instead of crossing over into Sammy's lane, right? Because you want to take I'm going to stay in Denise lane. Because even crossing over into Sammy's lane, Sammy might have more thorns than I do.
You've got that right.
And I got to do a whole lot of zigzagging in Sammy's lane than the two hop skips that I got to do in my lane.
Wow. I'm gonna take a minute on that one right there. I'm gonna take a pause on that, because that's where we find ourselves trying to, we already have a struggle within, between the me, myself, and I. We already
Right.
have a struggle between us, me and me, right? Me and me,
Right.
I and I, whatever. We have that struggle. And now we want to add somebody else. That's, to copy the neighbors, to copy our friends, to be. So we already have this toxic relationship going on, this love and hate war within ourselves. And then we want to add to it by wanting to be somebody else.
What? Insult to injury? Oh my
What?
God.
Wow, never thought about it that way, because you're right. It may look greener on the next side, but it takes more water, it takes more sunshine. Yeah, you're gonna have to cut some trees to get some sunlight in there, all that stuff. So never try to mirror somebody. But when we talk about the me, myself, and I, right? And we go through this, check ourselves, and we look in the mirror, if we can, because there are many who can't even look in the mirror, right?
That's the first place you got to start.
But it's hard for many. It's hard.
That's if you can't look at yourself, how you want somebody else to look at you?
Wow. Okay. I didn't think you were going to come that hard now. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. 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 But someone who's been dealing with something for so long and have always hated themselves, where they actually even hurt themselves, physically hurt themselves, put themselves through so much extra added stress and from the experiences that they've experienced, right?
So I've talked.
How do I get up to look in the mirror?
Wait, hold on. Hold on, because I talked to you before about the weight thing, the weight journey.
I'm just saying people in general, right? People in general, yeah.
So I had to learn to look at myself. If, like I said, if I did not look at myself, how was I supposed to expect somebody else to look at me? Whether they were looking at me for love, whether they were looking at me to help me, whether they were looking at me to nurture me or to teach me, they had to look at me. And if I couldn't look at me, how were they to look at me? If I wanted them to see something different, I had to see something different. So even if I'm going through this thing so many years, okay, all right, fine. Let me find out, let me do the evaluation and find out what the root is, number one, right? What's hindering me? What am I lacking? And I have to be able to look at myself in order to find those answers. If something is wrong and I'm trying to find the root cause, looking at myself would mean, okay, well, I have to look at my parents. I have to look at my grandparents. I have to look at my siblings, but I still have to look at me.
Ooh.
I still have to look at me. If I can't show love to my children, how comes? Okay. All right. Was I shown love? Okay, look in yourself. Look at yourself. Do you love yourself? Look within yourself. Who told you something? Who didn't tell you something? All right, mommy never tell me this. Okay, so now I see, okay, well, if mommy didn't tell me, who didn't tell mommy? I have to look at me.
Yeah.
Have to be able to stand up and look at me, as hard as it may be, because I have to do some digging.
Wow. Man, I wish we had more time on this. Oh, Marquita, I'm definitely going to have you come back for another week's recording. This is so impactful. But before we close on this topic today on ourselves, as always at the end of the recording, I love to challenge our listening audience. Give them a task for the week, a challenge for the week, something to look into. What would you say? What word would you want them to have, or a takeaway or a challenge in terms of how to actually begin to love themselves, or how, it's hard, like you said, but it's the truth and it's the reality. So what would you want to be the takeaway or a challenge to our listening audience today in this journey to loving themselves, to end this toxic relationship within themselves and to begin to love themselves?
I'm going to give them a challenge that someone gave me. For the next week, I won't put so much days on it as the challenge was given to me, but for the next 7 days, look at yourself in the mirror and point out one thing, one genuine thing that you love about yourself.
Wow. Wow. One genuine thing that you love about yourself. Wow. 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 Well, folks, you heard it right here from your favorite guest, Marquita Ashley. How to love yourself. Be honest with yourself this week. You are now challenged. No time limit. Okay. No time limit. Take the time that you need, but be honest with yourself. Check yourself. Slow down. Look yourself in the mirror. Talk to yourself and be honest and write it down. One genuine thing that you love about you. What a way to start. If you could start with one, you'll be surprised as to how many other beautiful things there are about you. And remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. But until you believe it and receive it, you won't be able to live it. So it's up to you to begin to love you. It's up to you to challenge you, and it's up to you to be honest with you. Marquita, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I hope I can get you again for maybe next week. And who knows, we'll just continue this whole journey with love with you this month, if that's how the Lord is leading. So folks, if you want to get in touch with Marquita personally, you can follow her, Marquita Ashley, on Facebook. She is also under her personal page, Marquita Morgan Ashley. And Marquita has her jewelry line that you want to touch into, and that's Fancy KI Gems. All together says Fancy KI Gems, and that's her business page also on Facebook. And get in touch with her. I'm telling you, you asked for her, you got her. So now treat her the same way as you requested her. Again, thanks for listening to Woman podcast. And I'm your host, Denise Hinkson Lawrence. Thank you again for listening to Woman podcast. Send us an email at w2wpodcastshow@gmail.com if you would like to hear more on this topic. Have a great day. Thank you.